Okay, good morning, Heilige brothers. We're learning Leilui Nishmas Bas Yafega Bas Yisrael, Leilui Nishmas Levi Ben Yosef, anonymously for the Refuah Shleim of Eliza Chana Bas Naomi and Shoshana Yona Bas Edel, and for Hila Bat Ilana. I want everyone to have that name, Shogur Befichem, Hila Bat Ilana. It's very important to daven for. A woman in our community that really needs Rachmi Shamayim big time. Also, this whole week is sponsored by Hershey's mother, Mora Dvora O'Brien, in honor of her first aliyah anniversary, by the Deutsches, Miriam and Avram Deutsch, in honor of their new granddaughter, Shir Bat Zion, by Debbie Grustin, and thanks to Hashem for Paul's 50th birthday, by the Orenstein and Klein families, Leilui Nishmas, Rabbi Sacher Mendel ben Reb Tzvi Alter ben Achaela, and anonymously for the Refuah Shleim of all who need it. Okay, Reb Usher, Daf Yud Gimel. Open up the Daf Yud Gimel. We're in the middle of the 7th letter over here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'aleph. Daf Yud Gimel. We started this fascinating letter that was very much Dvarim Hashavim Lechulam, things that everyone could relate to. I was wondering if it was going to happen this past Shabbos as well. I think there was a special, like you say, you have in Shabbos, you have a neshama yisera. I think when you're with the tzaddik, you also have a siyata yisera. You have extra help. You have even extra help of things that normally would happen. There's like extra help in the room. I'm still downloading. I'm still processing everything that happened. I'm still processing the whole thing. But I know for sure that there was something extra. Neshama yetera, siyata yetera. The thing that we deal with all the time, Reb Usher is telling us over here, is that I get the worst machshavas dafka in the worst times. Remember we started learning this. Dafka in the worst times, in the times that are most opportune for geschmack, for light, for clarity, is dafka then that I could get the most confusing thoughts in the world, which produce, of course, the most horrible self-reflections, and produce all the things that we spoke about last time we learned. But Reb Usher, kehergelo b'kodesh, the way that tzaddik always tells us, shows us, he says, yeah, you're missing the whole zach. You're missing the whole point. The whole point is that it's dafka there that the biggest gilui can happen to you. The biggest revelation can happen to you. Thank you. It's dafka there that you could realize what the tachlis of your life is all about. By realizing the whole mahalach that Reb Usher has been telling us over and over and over and over again, that it's dafka through the machshava zaras that come in moments of opportune times, that the reality of who we are is galui lakol, is completely revealed to the all of you. So like we said in the beginning, he's answering back a person who must be struggling with trying to understand. A person that probably said, I took on things, I moved somewhere, I started learning, I started davening, I started going to minyan. And now, after I start going to minyan, after I took a chevrusa, after I start all this, now it's going to come to me, all these sick, dirty, perverted thoughts. Dafka, I know none of you know what I'm talking about. There are a few people in the world that still have some perverted thoughts, especially during davening. I'll introduce... Sorry. No, he's saying, I know people. He's
during davening. He said during davening.
He's saying, I know people. You've heard of people like that. Right, they exist in the world. The thing is that Reb Usher told us, like last time, that when you, he says, look at the bottom of Yud Gimel on the right column, on the bottom, Ubazeu shu sholet al machshavotav, the mekirat irko, when you have a shlita over these thoughts, by knowing who you are, by knowing your value, by knowing what you're really made of and what you're not, you could see what the tachlis of this whole world is. And he said over here also, like we ended last time, Avram Avinu found himself through his avoda. His avoda brought him to a place of anochi afar va'efer. It's dafka in the place of knowing I'm nothing. Only there can a person even begin to play this game called, there's a person called me. Only when you realize Vanochi Afar Va'efer, that you, us on our own, are pashut nothing. Nothing. Do you know how uncomfortable Rabbi Weinberger was over Shabbos with all those shvachim? I'm telling you. He spoke about it Motzei Shabbos too. A person that understands that they're nothing is the one that can actually begin to do something. And that recognition of the value of the self-value, is a key aside for anyone that wants to be tapped into Pnimiyus HaTorah, wants to be tapped into anything real in this world. There's some chairs. There's some chairs over here, chevra. Are there chairs in the back? Yesh makom?
3 chairs next to me.
Okay. Now he's going to bring us an example from the highest place in the world. Chevra, when's the worst time to have bad thoughts? Huh? Wow, it's too much movement, guys. Shh. When's the worst time to have bad thoughts? I didn't hear. I can't hear anything.
Anytime. It's always bad to have bad thoughts. I mean, obviously, it feels even worse when you're trying to do something the kedushah.
When does it feel the worst to have a bad thought?
You're about to do Shemona Esrei.
When during the year does it feel the worst to have a bad thought? Yom Kippur. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. I did it to Shmuel yesterday in Shir. I'll just, you'll keep on saying something, and I'll keep on saying what I'm trying to say until we get to, we meet at a certain place. We met, Baruch Hashem. Obviously on Yom Kippur, that's like the headquarters of everything. I don't know how many of you have, I'm sure you, actually I do know by schmoozing with a few of you, we've had some wild Yom Kippurs. Wild Yom Kippurs, roller coaster Yom Kippurs, where the machshavas are like, you could start off Yom Kippur flying, Kol Nidre in Mariv, and then by middle of Shacharis, take a right, and you reach the dead end, and then it's like downward hill till Hashem Hu Elokim by Ne'ilah. It's happened. Some people in this room. So why is it, the shaila is, that dafka at those moments, these things happen? What is this like? Huh? It's interesting that when I say bad thoughts, everyone thinks about Gilui Arayas.
It's just as bad as it gets.
We'll talk after she You're in good.
Pull up a chair.
Sasha hasn't. You should know he hasn't said a word in Shir 5 years. He sits next to you one Shir.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, is it partial?
No. I know. Sasha, everyone else in this room is thinking exactly what you have the guts to, with your Russian chutzpah, to say. Look at the top of Yud Gimel, left column. V'shuv daika hamachshavas hazoras. V'rak u'mekomos hakadoshim mizgaber yitzro, kedei sheyishkach mahuso, shehu b'vchinas behema, v'yishaer im metzius chayav metzius hateva. This is amazing. What happens over here with these foreign thoughts that dafka show up at the holiest times, the holiest moments? The Yetzer comes, tries to make you forget what you really are. Now he's going to develop this. Usually when we want to give a person we want to give them chizuk, we want to tell them, you're so holy, you're so special, you're so precious, you're so divine. Reb Usher it's a different way of telling you you're special. He's basically telling you the only way that you'll know you're so special, that you're so holy, that you're so unique, that you're so divine, is only by first knowing that you are an animal. And if it wasn't for Hashem to choose to differentiate you from just all other animals, you would mamish be a behema gasa. You would be an animal, an actual animal. Behema. And Eli gave us a little bit of a head start last week when you quoted what David HaMelech says, which we're going to see over here right now. Reb Usher says like this, 5th line, Kmo she'anu ro'im sherak b'kedusha achi gdola, only with the holiest kedushah, bless you, b'kodesh HaKodashim, in the Holy of Holies, shesham hi b'si gdulasa, that's the height of holiness, what we know in this world of holiness, the Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur, it doesn't get, there's no greater metzias of holiness in the world. There's no greater reality of experiencing kedushah in this world. Az dafka Kohen Gadol besakana. Amazing. You know what the Mishnah says about the Kohen Gadol's feet? Right? What did they tie to his feet?
A chain.
Rubber bells, right? Why?
To pull, no, so that they have to pull them out.
Why not when he's working, I don't know, when he's doing Birkas Kohanim, I don't know, menorah.
You can easily access it.
Where?
If he's doing Birkas Kohanim.
Yeah, here
or
he's
there
alone.
are other Kohanim that can go there.
No,
That's
because he's at the
pshat.
highest level of kedushah.
That's what it is that because when you come more in contact with things that are malim b'kodesh, it's a sakana for you.
They have a backup.
It's a sakana for you.
So you're more grounded?
No, chevra, lat. Everyone chill for a second. Let me just get a word in. The way it works like this in this world is that the more that you're going to be connected with the opportunity to mekadesh Shem Hashem in the world, which is by the Kohen exactly what he's doing inside the Kodesh, then the more that it's a more opportune time for the other side to really get its hand on it. Like, who said this over Shabbos, that the Sitra Achra wasn't happy with what was going on here over Shabbos?
Yossi said it.
Did you? You said that,
He
right?
said it.
It's a very important likud. It's exactly the same thing. The other side cannot stand when there's an opportunity for a kiddush Shem Shamayim to take place. There's no greater kiddush Shem Shamayim than when the Kohen Gadol is in the Kodesh HaKodashim. There's nothing bigger in the world. There's nothing greater that happens. That's the most. So dafka, because the Kohen Gadol is going there, there's a greater sakana. You don't think we're all in sakana this week after what we tasted this Shabbos? All of us. But it's a weird double-edged. It's a good simon too, meaning it works both ways. Would you rather not be in sakana? Like, would you rather? Of course, none of us would want to be in sakana, but would you rather not have been put into a place that's more sensitive? Of course not. Hey, this is what it is. This is the game. This is the game. It's gonna be like this. It's gewalt that it's like this. It's hard that it's like this. But this is the game. The more that you're walking Ela Kodesh Pnima, not the easier it gets, the more sakana there is. The more worthwhile it is, the more fruitful it is, the more special it is. But that's how it works in this world. So if you're having, I think, I want to say like this, and it could be this is not what the tzaddik is saying, but I just want to give us chizuk, because this is very important. If you're having more of a difficult time this week with your machshavas, that's a siman that you were aware and conscious and that something is brewing inside of you. And it should give you chizuk. It should actually strengthen you. If this is Monday morning, like last Monday morning, I'd be nervous. If you weren't struggling with anything this morning, I'd actually be very nervous. Then that's a siman that, kanire ani chasum, I must be blocked. There must be complete machitza between my heart and what's actually taking place in the world. So the Kohen Gadol, whose heart is wide open. The Nasa Aaron is aliyah is shmois b'nei Yisrael. It says about Aaron HaKohen, he would carry on his heart all the names of Ganza Klal Yisrael on his heart with him. Ela Kodesh. Of course, it's going to be more. What's the right word? Susceptible. Vulnerability is really the name of the game here. That's what's going on over here. So again, as dafka Kohen Gadol besakana shelo yikre lo mikre b'yom HaKodesh mikol hashana. Without going into it, obviously over here, this is the day that the Kohen Gadol has to be. There's more of a sakana on this day than any other day, for dvarim that will cause the Kohen Gadol to not be able to perform his avodah in the Kodesh. Mizeh anu ro'im shekol she'adam yoter b'kedushah hu nimtza yoter b'sakana. I love this tzaddik. I love Reb Usher for saying this. This is like such a life-saving eye-opener. כל שהאדם יותר בקדושה, הוא נמצא יותר בסכנה. שלא יהיה נשכחת ממנו מציאות הבהמיות שלו. So that he won't forget his metzias, his real metzias of we're beheimos. I don't mean this in a bad way. You understand? Like if the chevra has been learning this stuff, we understand that's the greatest awareness that you can have, right? So then and also when you're not really aware of who you really are, ground level, then what happens is that you don't really have you don't have those things that remind you that you've already been plugged into real emunah, and you forget the whole thing, and then what you're building seems to be a fraud. You're not really coming from the place where you're really standing. The claims that you have on levels of emunah are not really where you're at, until you fall into total and complete imposter syndrome, and then what ends up happening is you have a total churban. You have a total churban. So Reb Usher is starting from ground up, mamash. Now he continues. V'zeh kmo sheDavid HaMelech, kasher ba l'shleimuso. David Malka Mashiach, what would you say about him when he came to his peak, right? Ra'a atzmo b'vchina beheimos. What did he see himself? After everything he went through, if you asked him, tell me, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? What would he say? A rhinoceros. A worm. But also v'ani tefillah. But also a prayer. Because you can only become a prayer once you realize that you're just like a behemah. B'chol gdulaso hasa im emunaso. His greatness was with his emunah, kmo she'amar beheimos hayisi imach. I was with you like an animal. Imani behema mehechan kayemet metziuti. If I'm an animal, where does my reality come from? How do I exist bichlal? Hayisi imach, because I'm with you. Kmo she'atinok hachai im imo, az hu chai b'shalva. Bless us all to have healthy children. Amen. Healthy children in Klal Yisrael. Amen. Babies in that place of being nursed by their mother. At that moment, it's Shabbos. Klum chaser. Shalva ba'amenosayich. There's complete serenity. Everything is fine. Klum chaser bebeit HaMelech. This is, he says over here, Kach David HaMelech, shematza yesodo, ra'a she'ein be'efsharuto liot shalit im chokhmato. Ve'achokhma zeu emunah peshutah. This is unbelievable what he just said. He says, David HaMelech, that found his yesod, he found what he is and what he isn't, he saw, with all my chokhmas that I have, I can't govern over anything. I can't be a king over anybody. I have a chevrusa. With Noam Banai. We're learning Nevi'im for a few years already. We're every Thursday morning. We're in the heart of Shmuel Bet. The heart of Shmuel Bet. You remember Shmuel Bet? What's going on over there? David HaMelech. It's not to be believed what David HaMelech is going through. Time after time after time after time, after rebellion after rebellion, after his son trying to kill you. I'm very connected to that whole story because obviously my father's name is, right? And I'm Shlomo. So in the Tanakh, we were brothers, but he tried to kill our father. Here we're just, I think, it's like, it's all good here, you know. But it's a very. I think about it quite often because it's a very strange. That story is so strange when you look in the pneumius of the story of Avshalom and David. Very, very bizarre. And then you see afterwards what happens. There's a rebellion with Malchus Yehuda, Malchus Yisrael, and Shimi. It doesn't stop. And David HaMelech comes to a place at the height of his life, and he says, beheimos, hayisi, Imach, I can't control anything over all the chachmas that I have, aside from one thing. I can control my own recognition of who I am through emunah peshutah, of what I am and what I'm not. So if David HaMelech can get there at the end of his life, and he's already telling us, listen, if you want to be real, you're going to get there eventually. The shaila is, at what age do you want to just start giving up? Giving in. Not giving up. At what age? How much longer are we going to play the game of like shlita, control?
Like you said, giving up.
That's better. Giving. That's actually very good. In Hebrew, it's because of a certain religion, there's a word that I always want to say that I'm reluctant to surrender.
You said it last week.
Because, and I try so hard not to because of the connotations that the last few millennia actually have brought with that word and what it means. But the pnimius of it, the truth is matis has an unbelievable nigun, surrender. When it came, I remember I was in a hotel room in Cape Town when this came out. I was like exhausted and feeling very lonely and far from everything, and I was at a conference that I really didn't feel that, I couldn't find my place that trip. It was a little bit difficult, and I was it's so beautiful there. It's so gorgeous out there. And I was trying to control my thoughts and feel, and then he put out this song. And the bass line, whatever, it's a very, very powerful tune. The bass line there is ridiculous. I remember sitting in this hotel room in Cape Town, looking at everything, listening to this song. I was a bit more in touch with him then, so I reached out to him from that room, talking about surrendering. Obviously, in Hebrew, the closest word we have for it is hachna, right? But we'll stick with that. The question Reb Usher is posing for us here is, at what age do you want to have hachna? You can wait, like most people do, till they're pushed to the core or towards the end of their life. Or you could just take the word of the tzaddikim that told us this and say, there's no inyan of waiting until you've experienced everything to come to the conclusion that all the real people have come to. There's no inyan. Take their words for it. The eitzes of the tzaddikim. They've been there. They know what it's like. Now you could start already. Oto hadavar, now he goes back to this person that wrote this letter. Oto hadavar im kvodo, כשהוא נמצא בבית הכנסת, ובאים לו מחשבות זרות. Bottom of Yud Gimel. Now he's going back to this guy. And he's saying the same inyan is with you when you're in shul. ובאים לו מחשבות זרות. And all these bad thoughts come to you. זה מסיבה שנשמתו חצובה ממקור הקדושה. You know why? It's coming to you, these bad thoughts? Because it must mean that you're a bechina of the Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh HaKodashim. Because if you weren't the bechina of the Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh HaKodashim, you know what wouldn't happen to you? These thoughts. What a flip he does here. It's such a flip. There's no other reason why these thoughts would come to you unless you weren't a shtickle Kohen Gadol going to the Kodesh HaKodashim. He says to him, your neshama is chatzuva mimekor kedushah, where your neshama comes from, is the holiest place in the world. Kmo she'Kohen Gadol היה בסכנה, שלא יקרא לו מקווה, גם כבודו בסכנה, בבלבול מוחו. You're also in a sakana with the bilbul amoyach. שיהיה, next page, מקושר עם האמונה פשוטה. To make you mekusher with simple faith. B'chol gdulaso hu shifluso. And the greatness that you could reach is how much you're aware that these machshavas zaras are there to remind you that without the Eibishter doing what he does to you, ata shum davar, ata klum. What do you think the Kohen Gadol thought about himself? Reb Shlomo said that Moshe Rabbeinu walked around with an awareness, with a thought process he looked at every single yid, and he said, if Hashem would have chosen this person would have been me. It sounds so funny, right? You know how humbling that is? if Hashem would have put into that person whatever it is, that person would have been me. So what does that say about you?
Nothing to do with you.
That it has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. וכאשר רובץ בשפלותו, הוא מקושר בגדלוס בורנו. When you are, you know the word rovetz, how do you say that in English?
Wallowing.
Sorry?
It's wallowing.
Wallowing. When you're wallowing in your humility, in how low you really are, הוא מקושר בגדלוס בורנו. Then you're connected to the greatness of our Creator. Bechol ke'evav, and that which you ache over, hem al Galus HaShechinah. כמו שדוד המלך אמר, אינום אימו אנכי בצרה. This is an amazing thing. You know how people, they say like, wow, I wish I could be on the level to daven over the Galus of the Shechinah, but who am I? I'm not on the level to daven for such things because I'm still stuck with dealing with removing dirty thoughts I have from high school. Shmendrik, that is Galus HaShechinah. That actually is Galus HaShechinah. Davening, crying over Galus HaShechinah is exactly that thing. We think, I have to be on a high level to visualize Churban Habayis, and only then to be like, and then to understand what the Avodah was in the Beis HaMikdash, and only then I'll be on the level to daven for Galus HaShechinah. If you, this throughout the Tanya, throughout, especially the last few days, the Alter Rebbe is speaking about Galus HaShechinah. It's high terminology, but what it means is that when you work so hard on yourself, and you really said today, this week, I'm going to get my act together, and that thing that drives my wife crazy, this week I'm going to fix. And you try so hard, and she can't see it. She can't see how hard you're working. She only notices when the thing that doesn't work. And you're in pain over it. And then you look at it, and inside you're saying to yourself, I'm in pain over this. I should be crying over Galus HaShechinah. That is Galus HaShechinah. Disconnection. When there's no transparency, when there's no meeting each other, that's Galus HaShechinah. He's saying when a person is rovetz, wallowing in their own nothingness, you end up crying over what you really want to cry over. And you stop crying over things that aren't worth crying over, like kavod. And that's what we all want. None of us want to be running after kavod. None of us want to be crying over our own kavod. We want to be people that learn how to cry over Galus HaShechinah. But it's a matter of terminology. Galus HaShechinah is exactly these things of machshavas zaras and bilbulim. That's Galus HaShechinah. And that's important to remember. Very important to remember, because when you remember, when you realize for a second, wait a second, you want to tell me that I'm in pain over the right things? That's a very key moment in your life that aligns you and gives you tremendous koyach to keep on discovering how to cry over the things that should be cried over, and to stop crying over the things that mamish don't matter at all. At all. They're disguised in Kodesh HaKodashim though. Those things we kvetch over and are pain over, they're disguised as the holiest things in the world. But when it's not coming through the world of beheimos, hayisi, Imach, that I'm nothing, you can't find out what it's worth crying over and what it isn't. Yes, a guy that works hard to show his wife that he cares and that he's doing everything he can, and she can't see it for whatever the reason is. Is it worth crying over? Yes. Yes. I'm going to share with you an amazing moment. I have to end here. I have to take my kids to the dentist. They're in the office now. This is an amazing moment. Last night, I had an amazing schus. I went out to the area. The truth is, you were driving. So I don't even know where was it?
Kfar Saba.
It was Kfar Saba? And I was bichlal not looking. So this very, very sweet couple. That if you looked at them, you're not going to ask them, like, what does Rashi say in Shlishi? You know what I mean? Like, they don't look like they're holding l'shnai mikra echad targum, okay, at all. But there was a moment towards the end of the chuppah right before Yerushalayim. And I don't know, this word came down, that Yerushalayim, we know in Hebrew, it comes from the word Yira Shlema. Yira Shlema, the place of total awe. That's Yerushalayim. But that's not going to turn on a couple to Yerushalayim. Any couple, especially a couple like this. I said a word like this, Yerushalayim to the place of Yira Shlema, I can't ever forget that the point of getting married to each other is that we should totally see each other. We should totally feel seen. If I forget that this is why I came into this marriage, tishkach yamini. I said, and then the Solomon brothers were singing so I went up to the chassan and kala. I said, guys, listen, I don't know how much you've davened in your life or you didn't, but just take my word for it. Right now, these last 2 minutes of your chuppah, let it all out. Let it all out. So they started to daven, and then he says, Rav, אני יכול להתפלל אליה והיא אליי, להגיד לה מה אני מתפלל? Did you see it? That's what he said. He said, אפשר? He said, זה מותר? I'm like, אחי, לך על זה. And they started telling to each other, אני מתפלל שאנחנו נראה אחד השני, נראה אחד השנייה. I want us to see each other. That's the tikkun of Galus HaShechinah. That's Hisnardi Ma'afar. That's exactly like looking at Galus HaShechinah in the eye and saying, I'm calling you out already right now under this chuppah when I'm getting married to you. And right now already, I'm not, everyone goes, Beis HaMikdash, Im Eshkochech Yerushalayim. No. I mean, of course, yes, right? In the world of emes la'amitoy maybe. In the world that you and I are living in, davening for Galus HaShechinah is looking at your wife and davening, I pray that you really see me, and I pray to want to really, really see you. That's the beginning of lifting up the Galus HaShechinah. So the fact that you cry when you don't feel seen, or that you don't feel like you really see your spouse when it's coming through shiflus, that pain, just plug it into the source of the pain. It's like I was once talking to a big tzaddik, and I said to him, I said to him, the same thing has been happening in the office, like every few days. The same story with different couples of just like shalom bayis not happening. Like I don't know what this is, a plague. It's so bizarre. How could it keep on happening? The tzaddik basically said to me, what do you mean? The Shechinah is in Galus. Why would you think everyone would have shalom bayis? Like why are you not shocked? Why are you shocked? He says, I'm shocked that there's anyone that has shalom bayis. The Shechinah is in Galus. This is how we have to take down these things that are very elated terms, bring it down to a lashon that you and I can relate to, and then lift it back up, obviously. We were in the midst of a Rebbe that has mastered that and gave it over to all of us. That inyan of taking very high, exalted concepts that we're fake if we think that we can connect it. It's like Zer Anpin and Atika Kadisha, right? It's to take these things that we want to feel so close to limshach, to draw it down so it could have some shaykhs to our life. And don't think we're watering down things to make it like accessible to us. It's not true. Every door is a different negina satira, and this is our door. We need that way to learn how to take down these concepts so that we could do something with it. So that's why over here, just know, when you're crying over the right things, which is things that are shchinta begalusa, coming through shiflus, you're in very good company. You know who else was standing there with you? The Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's pretty good company. I'll take that chevrusa. Okay, we're still in his reply. We'll continue next week, see how he finishes off this reply to this yid. Okay, shkoyach everybody.